specialization is organization psychology. So definitely you would want to understand how an organization functions, how the changes needs to take place. Like even if you're talking about organization development, which is today's topic, that is somewhere again a psychologist can play a major role, or a behavior scientist or a behavior psychologist, to understand the changes that are happening, how to implement the changes, how to develop the organization. So you're kind of bringing in the psychological aspect into the organization. Whereas if you're looking at purely MBA, there's this thing that they only look at. It's more or like from in terms of numbers. Uh, they're very efficient, as they might be effective as well, but here you're also looking at the, like, people's manager, you would say. You're looking from an uh, individual's perspective, the benefit of the organization, the behavior of the employees, the overall well-being of the employees. That is somewhere where you are coming in.
Thank you.
All right, so I think we are on the live stream, so let's just start the class. The others can join in. Today's topic, what we are doing is organization development and organization effectiveness. So first, let's start with organization development. This is a continuation of the change of the last unit which we were doing. So when we are talking about change, organization change, once you implement change, why are you implementing the change? One, obviously, to bring in something new to the organization, to ensure that there is development in the organization. So what is organization development? What are the characteristics, benefits? What are the techniques to implement organization development? So this is something we would be covering in today's class. So should I wait or should I start? It's only 10 of them it's showing. Anyway, I'll just continue. So what is organization development? How can we define organization development? One, we need to understand that development is always an ongoing process. Even if you take human development, if you take cognitive development, whatever it is, development is always an ongoing process. So organization development, or OD, no, it is a systematic process of where you're implementing uh, effective changes in the organization. So organization development is a deliberately planned effort in an organization to increase the organization's relevance and ability. So if you see, OD could be defined as the practice of changing people and organization for a positive growth. Now, in practice, organization development can be of like can take various forms, and the activities that are included in the organization development are like team building. That is a very important aspect in organization development. Organizational assessments, the kind of test assessments what you're doing, career development, training, e-learning, coaching, innovation, leadership development, talent management, change management. So all these are the aspects of organization development. So since today is the last class, I'll also be talking a little bit of application, as well as how as a role of an organization psychologist here you can play. So in team building, I'm not sure if you guys are aware of outbound training. I'm not. So outbound training is again where you are taking the team to you're taking the team somewhere outside, let's say like for a resort, a half day thing or somewhere, where you're making the team to do various kinds of activity which involve team building activities, trust activities, where one something linking one another. So you can plan various different types of activities which will motivate employees to bond between each other, and also they will understand that how important it is to work together. So here again, a psychologist can come into the picture. Talking about organizational assessment, yes, most of the organizations have their own people conducting regular assessments, but when it comes to some of the psychological assessments, only a psychologist can administer those assessments, and only a psychologist is eligible to even interpret the result and convey the result to the employees and so on. For example, you must have heard about MBTI. Not every though you know how to administer the test, the assessment, not everyone is eligible to administer MBTI. You need a certain, even if you have studied psychology, even if you are called a psychologist, only you need to have a certain certification in MBTI to administer the MBTI and also interpret the results accordingly. So similarly, anyway, as a psychologist, you can be involved into training. So you can train the employees on different aspects of confidence building, again, team building, which is very important in organizations because most of them work in teams. There's like hardly few organizations which work on individual basis. Then employee well-being, employee counseling. Now most of the organizations have started something like EAP or employee assistive programs where again a psychologist can play a role over here. So coaching, if there's something innovative, again a psychologist can come and play a role. Even if you look at in the organizations, the sitting position, the of an employee, how important it is for the physical well-being of the employee. Then the distance between the system and the employee, how much should the distance be, because too close again causes effect on the eye. It increases the stress level, which indirectly affects the bodily changes, the body stress, the physical stress, then mental stress. Then again there is absenteeism, turnover. So one or the other way, all these things are linked. And the height of the chair and the table, all these things again a psychologist can play a role. Now again, there are different kinds of psychologists, I'm sure you know about that. So anything, whatever works best, whatever fits in the right career. For like if you are working onto the organization development, then you can be called as an organization psychology who is trained in organization development and who is looking into all these aspects. So that way you can talent management, change management. Talent management is hiring staff. On what basis are you hiring? On what skill sets are required? Those things you can see. And change management, we had spoken in the last class. Leadership development, the different kinds of leadership styles which are there, what works best for what kind of population. Is it democratic, is it laissez-faire, is it autocratic? So all those things again together, you can look into it. So the next slide talks only about the definition of OD given by different people. So I'll just read out two definitions. Organization development can is an effort which is planned organization-wide and managed from top and increase organization effectiveness and health through planned interventions in the organization processes using behavioral science knowledge. This definition was given by Richard Beckhardt. The other definition by Brooke is organization development is a planned process of change in an organization's culture through the utilization of behavior science, technology, research, and theory. So again, organization organization development as a whole, it's a trend which is followed in all the organization. It is an approach which is adapted by all the organizations, obviously, to be in par with the changing work culture, changing the competition, changing the market, and to be in par with all of these things, the organization has to implement change and develop for the betterment of the organization. We are looking at the nature of organization development. Then one, it is OD is built-in ongoing process for the organization's internal growth. You could say that. So this is typically done with the assistance of a change agent or a catalyst. Change agent or a catalyst are people who enable us to use these appropriate theories and techniques from behavior science, anthropology, sociology, and phenomenology, also like a psychologist. So a psychologist can also be a change agent during the organization development or organization change. So a leader who focuses on transformational leadership rather than management is referred to as a change agent or a catalyst. And despite all these, the fact that behavioral sciences, they provide how do you say, like the foundation for the research and practice of OD, some of the behavior scientists. So it is very important for them to develop and adapt in the fields of study that mark the difference between organization development and the management. So as an organization development catalyst or change agents, the behavior scientist or psychologist or whoever the experts in this particular system, they need to understand the organization learning or learning organization. That's the one of the they have covered, and they need to understand the development of the same. So the emerging viewpoints that see organization as a holistic interplay on the number of system, all of which have these impact on the organization activities and the input as well as the output in the organization development. Now, what are the characteristics of organization development? One, focus on the culture and process. So when there is a development happening in the organization, it is mandatory to look at the organizational culture. The better the culture, the better is the development. If the culture is stagnant or is not moving along with the current situation, then again there will be a pause in the development, or there would be obstacles, I would say, in the organization development. The next one is collaboration. So when obviously when you're trying to improve the organization, you're trying to change the organization for its own growth, there should be a collaboration between managers and employees, and also with the employees in regards to the organization culture and the process of the development that is taking place. So a person cannot disagree with the other person. If that is going to happen, again there would be obstacles during the change or during the development process. So it is very important for everybody to collaborate and work together on this particular when there is a development happening. Then the accomplishment of tasks. So various kinds of teams and groups, they need to play a very important role during they play a very important role during the development. So there each team or each individual can be given certain tasks, and they should be able to accomplish these tasks without any critical challenges being faced, because in case during the development, if they are not able to accomplish the task given to them, then again they can look back to see or to understand why are they not able to accomplish this task when the change has been implemented? So is it like, something that has not been seen, something which has not noticed that maybe the problem has arisen, and maybe that is why they're not able to accomplish the task? So no, that should be able to, we can be able to look into those aspects as well. So one, with the change, the amount of the task what is given to the individuals, they should be able to accomplish it. The human and the social side. So OD focuses on both the human and the social side. So that means you're here not only looking in terms of only the process being changed, but also you're considering the employees, their they as an individual, you're going to see the well-being of the employee. Then you're also seeing where if they're able to communicate with each other, interact with each other with this change, and then all of them are able to work together. So basically you're not just with the organization development, you're not only looking at it from the perspective of like the employees are like machines, but you're treating employees as human beings, and also looking at what works best for them as well as for the organization. Participation. uh, so it is important for the involvement of managers as well as the employees in an organization to participate in the process of organization development, because this will help them to understand the pros and cons. It will help them in the transfer of knowledge, exchange of information and ideas which are related to the organization development. System change. So the OD focuses on the entire system, not only just one particular subsystem, but the entire system. So the success of the organization development should reflect on the whole system as a whole, and not only as a subsystem. Subsystem as in like only one particular department like marketing or finance or HR. So these are called subsystems. So rather than the subsystems, it focuses on the entire organization as a whole. Facilitation. So there are three parties to OD process: facilitators, collaborators, and co-learners. And all these, it is mandatory for them to collaborate and cooperate with each other to help this organization undergo the process of change and development. Overarching goals. So the overarching goals of the organization is to ensure that whatever problems arises, they are solved, and this can be done by training the employees in the organization with the skills and knowledge, or with the continuous learning process using various methods. The next is the action research model. This model we had already completed in the last class. So OD activities are undertaken following the conclusion and recommendation of the action research related to the client system. And the developmental view, OD takes the developmental view for a betterment of both the processes and the organization. Another practice in OD program is to create a win-win situation where, like I said before, the employees as well as the organization should benefit from the change and the development that is happening. Looking at benefits of OD. First, contractual relationship. So before a change is being established, or before you bring in a change, there should be a contractual relationship with all the parties that are involved in the change. Because again, if there is no contractual relationship, then conflicts will arise again. To avoid all those things, it is very important for them to first understand why this change is happening and what is their role in the change, how the change is going to affect the organization and how the development takes place. So contractual relationship on the whole will help to ensure successful implantation of the plans in the organization. Change agent, change agent and I think but those people who act as a catalyst, like we had studied before, mostly like the transformational leaders or the leaders or the managers here, or the behavior therapist or behavior scientist, anthropologist, all these could act as a change agent. So uh, change agents are major strength in this organization development because they are trained and they have the skills and the knowledge of how about the human behavior, which will help them to understand and how the change might affect the employees and what are the ways they could avoid certain kind of conflicts between the employees and the change that is happening. So if you remember in the previous class, we were talking about ensure that tactics to something to change, we had covered like make sure all the information is communication is very important about the change, help them understand why the change is required, how will they be benefited. So change agents can look into all these aspects. Sponsoring organizations. So sponsoring organizations are the one who understands how this organization is functioning currently, and if a change is required, why the change is required, and how the change will be having an effect on the organization. So they understand that there is a problem that exists in the organization, and the sponsoring organization will understand how to deal with that problem and how what kind of solution best suits for this for the problem. Then applied behavior sciences, OD is process where applied behavior science principles works best over here. And as organization psychologist, you can apply the behavior as well as the behavioral aspects, be it like human behavior that comes along with change or without the change, and how that could help and in the development of the organization. So the concepts, what you're learning, the techniques, what you can start applying this during the OD process. Then implement performance through OD process. There would be effective improved relationships, effective communication, enhanced ability to cope of all kinds of challenges that come up, and you'd be better problem solvers, and a better decision making can happen with uh, organization development. All these could be improved. Then organization self renewal. So when you're implement when a development, when the organization is growing within itself, when the organization is bringing in a change to grow or for a better development of the organization and the employees, that means it is trying to renew a lot of things, maybe the skills that are required, it could be the manpower that is required, anything, the knowledge that the employees have, and so on. So they might start providing different training programs for the employees. You might want to understand or learn new concepts and so on. So people become more conscious during the organization development process about their role in the organization, their responsibilities, what their future would be if they have to keep themselves updated with the changing trends. The next one is increase motivation. OD programs increase motivation of employees. That is because when there is a development happening, so you will be motivated to work towards new things. Some of them, sometimes it becomes very monotonous and boring, so the motivation levels might come down. So when there is a change happening, then you're excited to work on new things, you're excited to work differently, so you're kind of motivated. And with the change may bring in higher incentives also, or whatever it is. So that is one way of extrinsic motivation that employees may have. So obviously motivation is again directly related to high productivity, high outcome, high output, and so on. So again, if employees are not motivated, then there would again problems that arise in the organization. The next is high morale and satisfaction. If reasonable, the OD programs that are undertaken increases the morale and satisfaction of the employees. So with the change, you are ensuring, for example, less work time, more productivity. You're bringing in a new technology which helps employees to, if an employee, for example, is spending 20 minutes to work on one case, with the new technology and with the new technique or something, they're able to finish their work in 10 minutes. So that way they're able to do more number of cases, and they're able to finish their work on time and not carry it home. So that gives them the satisfaction that yes, I have been productive for the day, I have been productive for this particular organization, and I am able to do something better. So that way change or development could also increase morale and satisfaction. It's the same thing in case an employee is trained on certain things, that gives them that satisfaction of learning something and doing something for the organization at the same time. Then increased competitive ability. So developed organization can cause can gain competitive ability. So this position can be gained by producing high quality goods, rendering better services, expanding markets, sending goods at doorstep of customers, and so on. That is something they with the organization development which can be implemented. Research and development. It's an asset if an organization is having an RD, that is research and development in their organization. So because with the help of research, you can be innovative, you can be you can provide better services, better quality of products, and better goods uh, for your customers or for your clients. And so that will again increase the competitive strength also. So if you look at today's trends in the organization setup, every organization is working on research, be it like a hospital setting, be it what is it, the hospitality or anything, schools, colleges, everybody is concentrating on research, research, research. You must have heard a lot. Why? To bring in something innovativeness, to bring in a change, to understand the functions, and how we can how the research can be, how the study that has been conducted can be applied on various things, on whatever the study is. It could be on employees, it could be on working conditions, it could be on working methods, techniques, etc. So R&D is again a very important asset in any of the organization. Then the last one is quality goods and services. OD does concentrate on the quality that your organization is providing in terms of goods as well as services. So in case with the change, the quality is deteriorating or is not up to the mark, then there's no point of organization development. That means you're not able to do any better with the by bringing in a change in your organization. But if you're improving in the quality and the services, that means the change which you have implemented and the organization development here has taken a very good role, or has you're able to do better with the change that has come. Next, moving on to techniques of OD or organization development. So, organizational growth, it is important as a significant amount of work and research on the part of organization, and it is not much a cure as it is a prevention of the organizational inertia, you could say. So organizational development departments use various strategies and intervention program to bring in the development or growth in their organization. So some of the techniques here is for strategic planning. Strategic planning is also called as scenario planning, and it is one method for organization development that an organization or corporation may use. So this method is based on sort of company as well as its leadership, culture, expertise, size, and complexity, and so on. So, in simple words, the strategic planning entails sitting down and drawing out a long-term objectives, the financial, marketing, employee, and mission statement goals can be laid out through the strategic planning. The second one is action research. We have studied action research again in the last class. It's a five-step action. It's a five-step process or technique that you can use it for OD. So it entails identifying a problem, formulating an initial research question before dwelling deeper into the problem, then devise a research strategy, then collect and analyze the data before taking action and communicating the results to the employees. So it is likely the most common strategy for business today because it identifies and addresses every issue and a problem. The next one is transformational. So transformational change is also known as quantum change. So this is the act of changing a company's internal working, like switching from a hierarchy to a team-oriented management structure, for example. Then bringing in a new computer system, you're using Windows and you might want to change to Apple. So that is again a transformational change. And another change could be like dividing the company into teams instead of having the traditional hierarchy in the organogram of the organization, like president, vice president, CEO, COO, CFO, and other top management. So you just divide them into teams. So each team would have a manager, and all the employees inside the team would be of the same level. These managers will again have a top manager who they would be reporting to, and that senior manager may end up reporting to the CEO, CO, and the CFO. So these are examples of transformational change. The next is remedy. So when there has been undesirable change or a crisis in the organization, then we tend to look at remedy method or a remedial change. So it is an organization development technique that can be helpful in terms of crisis situations. So remedial change may be considered as a cure and approach for organization development if employees are underperforming or if the company has just developed a product that is underperforming in a particular market. Then a cure would be a project, something tangible with demonstrable results that would boost the employees' morale, confidence, and self-esteem. The next one is planned change. So a planned change is another structure or a strategy in response to unplanned change. So if something unforeseen happens, for example, there's a death or suddenly the CEO resigns, then a planned response may be required to restore business processes, business morals, and redevelop some of the areas in the organization. And like if you're, it could also be like you are aware that the CEO who's in this particular position is about to retire in like 2 years, then you need to start planning and bringing in the plan change. uh, Next one is sensitivity training. So this is a type of training that uses unstructured group interactions to modify behavior. So the goal is to raise subjects' awareness on their own conduct and how other employees perceive them, allowing for better individual and organization integration. The next one is survey feedback. So the use of questionnaires to identify discrepancies among member perception with discussion and remedial feedback following. Team building, high interaction among team members to increase trust and openness. Into group development, these are efforts to change the attitude, stereotype, perception that groups have for each other. And the last one is appreciative inquiry. This process, it helps to identify the quality strengths of the organization, then on which the performing improvement has been built. So you are involving the employees, help allowing them to strategize and look into the performance improvement, and also look at how this change what you're bringing in the performance, what you're providing is effective in the future as well. Talking about the application of organization development, now the main goal of OD is to meet the changing needs and demands of a successful businesses. So it is a result of coordinated effort by internal as well as external experts or specialists in the industry to identify the procedures, the processes, the strategies that can help a business be more productive in nature. So the goal of OD is to increase an organization's performance, its ability to manage the employees, internal as well as external functions and relationships. So improvements in interpersonal and group processes, communication, ability to deal with challenges, have a strong decision making process, have strong leadership style, conflict, trust, cooperation among all the individuals and employees in an organization is part of organization development. So organization development looks into all of these aspects. That is, you can apply the concept of organization development to all these concepts, like how well you can have a leadership style, which leadership style fits best, what is the decision making process, if you need to change the decision making process, the way you deal with conflicts, and the way you deal with communication pattern. So when you must have done the communication chapter, you must have read about upward, downward, lateral communication. So how you can change the communication process and so on. So this was about organization development. Now, let's talk about organization effectiveness. So organization effectiveness is, it relates to the goal attainment. So an individual, group, or an organization that achieves their goal are said to be effective and have used their resources to achieve an effective outcome. Now, there are two different things, efficiency and effectiveness, which I'll come to that later. So effectiveness is something like how well you are able to be effective in an organization, how well you are able to achieve your goals, and what is the outcome that you are giving to the organization. So organization effectiveness has a very broad and often vague definition that um, if you have to explain what is organization effectiveness or organization efficiency, generally they tend to explain using examples rather than definitions. So companies use organization effectiveness to measure any number of things, from relationship between employee performance, company profits, to correlation between manufacturing processes and production volume, and the output volume. So there is no set parameters which will measure the effectiveness, no definition or no formula to measure the effectiveness. So each organization creates their own measures or methods to measure the organization effectiveness. So measuring effectiveness can help small businesses without the ability to observe ineffective process, modify its approach to avoid a loss. There's one definition here given by Richard, which who defines organization effectiveness as it captures organization performance plus mirrored internal performance outcomes normally associated with more efficient or effective operations, and other external measures that relate to considerations that are broader than those simply associated with economic valuation, like either by shareholders, managers, or customers, such as corporate and social responsibilities. Now, what is organization efficiency? So I told there are two things, effectiveness and efficiency, right? So organizational efficiency is a measure of relationship between organizational inputs and outputs. That is, like, input can be resources and output is uh, goods and services provided. So in a very simple language, it is like how much of output can you achieve when with the given amount of input or the resources. So if we are able to achieve more with less number of input, then we are being efficient. Like, for example, if the Tata company is making 100 cars with some amount, with X number of value of resources, then we are more efficient than another car company who is making 80 cars with the same amount of resources. So here Tata is making around 100 with the X value, whereas the other company is making 80 cars with the X value, with the same X value. So Tata is being more efficient. Okay, now we don't know if they're being more effective or not. Effective is how is it results on the services what we are providing, the quality what we are providing. So if the Tata company is able to provide the best quality and the best services and still be able to make 100 cars out of the X values, then it is being effective as well as efficient. So, the basic difference between organization effectiveness and efficiency is in the fact that organization can use effectiveness to measure anything, while efficiency can be measured with the help of financials. So effectiveness could measure how effective the employees of an organization use their time, and how effective the organization have their employees as an asset, whereas efficiency, it is a concrete measurement which is like abstract, which relates more directly to the business theory than the business practice. So efficient efficiency means doing things right, whereas effectiveness means doing the right things. Efficiency basically focuses on the processes, or how, or the procedure, the means, whereas effectiveness focuses on the end products. So for an organization to be successful, The organization has to be effective as well as efficient at the same time. So if an organization is only being effective and not efficient, then again, it's no point. If you're not able to provide a better output, no point. If you're being efficient, you're providing more output, but less. The quality of service or the quality of the goods, what is given is less, then again, it is of no point. So your organization has to be effective as well as efficient. So what are the key elements of organization effectiveness? What makes your organization effective? So few things which are given here. First, leadership. The characteristics should have like of a leader. The leader should have clear vision and priorities. They should have a cohesive leadership team. Then the next one, decision making and the structure. So the roles and accountabilities for decisions should be taken. Every decision maker should be accountable for their own decisions and should be aware of the roles and responsibilities. The organization structure should be able to support the objectives of the organization. The third element, people. Employees, organization and employees talent is necessary for the organization. So if there is no talent, if there's no skill, if there's no knowledge, then again you cannot be effective, you cannot produce a better output. Performance measures and incentives should be aligned to the objectives, so only then people will be motivated to move ahead. Then the next one, work processes and systems. So there should be a proper execution of the programs and the work processes should be kept in track. There should be a proper procedure followed in the work processes, and effective and efficient support processes and systems should be placed. The last one is culture. So culture is very important in for an organization to be effective as well as efficient. The values, the behaviors, your organization culture should be able to, the employees should be able to adapt to all these things. Then only then they would be able to be more productive in nature, and then they would be then they would be able to be more motivated and provide better output. And the organization, when you're talking about culture, should also be able to uh, go ahead with the organization change, should be able to implement change, should be able to sustain the change that has happened during the development of the organization. The other elements for organization effectiveness is employee productivity. Employee productivity is one very important element because employees are a major contributor for the organization effectiveness. If the employee is not able to contribute better, is not sure, is the work engagement, the work profitability is not seen, then uh, obviously the productivity will be low. And if there is no productivity or less productivity, then the organization effectiveness is less. So there are various ways to improve the productivity of an employee. So the employee can be trained, the employee can be provided some courses that will help them with the training. The employee's motivation and morale can be improved through for the employee to be productive. And the next one is employee skills. So employee skills are more important in today's economy if you look at it. Why? Because
the skills, their proficiency, their experience has an effect on their performance. So if there is a high expertise, then obviously there is a greater productivity. So skilled employees are more engaged and are motivated. Professional workers can help the organization to be innovative, to be competitive, to be productive in nature. So most of the organizations are concentrating on skill development in their for the employees in the organization, and it has become a central focus with a lot of courses coming up now. So you must have heard about Udemy, Coursera. You keep getting advertisements in TV about upgrad. So these are like digital transformations which an employee can have to develop their skills. Employee experience. Many of the organization have more emphasis on the customer experiences. So for if an employee is not able to deal with the customer properly, then the customer will not return back. They will say, like, we don't like the way you treat us, we don't like your services, you're not giving us importance, and hence the customer can leave. So this way the organization's productivity again will come down. So the employees experience on how to deal with customers, on how to deal with clients, on how to engage with different people, on employees experience to bring in more innovativeness, to bring in more success to the project what they are working on. It is very important. Their viewpoints, their knowledge, the knowledge transfer, can all this can play a role. So uh, uh, employee experience obviously can even look into in terms of like motivation, retention, uh, and how effective they can be overall. The next one is the efficiency of business units. So individual businesses function differently and directly contribute to the organization performance. So effective business units should look for cost effective methods, faster methods, which are more successful, more reliable methods, more retainable methods, and high productivity. So for business, for improving the for the business units to be more efficient, they require uh, some of the projects which are tailored to custom or customized projects or products that will help their existing employees to understand, or either they have to train their existing employees to get a better understanding of the project which they are bringing in. Tools and technology. So there's technology which is rapidly changing. There are a lot of tools that help that are helpful in the businesses. Technology can help the organization to keep up with the changing trends, to be ahead and stay ahead. So when an organization is adapting technology or a digital strategy, or whatever it is, then the organization can create a streamlined workflow or digital workflow. They can look into the improving employees performance, generate performance gains across the organization. And if the organization does not train the employee on the digital technology or with the recent current trends of the technology which they are adopting, then the employee productivity will be stagnant and business will not be able to reach its full potential or capital on the value of their investments. So organization must ensure that employees are well trained and are proficient with the use of tools and technology. The next one is organization structure. So organization structure affects the organization effectiveness and can have an impact on the employee metrics like engagement, motivation, and productivity. Um, Organization structure could also include the leadership and management styles, the effectiveness, the business processes, organization culture, and so on. So the organization structure will also include like the chain of command, the the communication pattern in the organization, the departmentalization, the centralization and decentralization. Structure will cover all these things. Now, the next one is so we can call it as POST Corp, which is an acronym for planning, organizing, staffing, directing, coordinating, reporting, and budgeting. So this refers to the steps or phases which are involved in bringing in the effectiveness in the organization for distinctive administration process. So planning, if we let's look at it one by one. Planning, so this planning refers to the establishment of a broad draft of the work it is to accomplish and the process incorporated to implement the changes whatever is that's going to happen. Again, planning will include whether you're doing a long-term planning, short-term planning, uh, or is it strategic planning, operational planning, different various kinds of plannings. Then the next step, organizing. So it inform, so once you have planned the whatever changes you want to do, you're going to organize it. Organizing will, when you're organizing one, you're going to give it a formal definition, you're going to synchronize it, you're classifying the various subdivisions and the sub processes of the work that is involved. The next one is staffing. So staffing involves selecting and recruiting the correct applicants for the job. It facilitates training and orientation while sustaining a promising work environment. During the staffing, you're going to look at the skill sets, the knowledge, the experience that is required, the additional certifications that are required, and also the you'll also be looking at the capacity of the staffing that is necessary. So you need to do you might want to do a need analysis to understand how many employees already exist, how many employees do you need, are you able to will you be able to manage with so many number of employees, or should you be able to increase the roles and responsibilities of the existing employees and bring in like less number of people, or do you want to bring in just more number of people? So during the staffing, you look into all these things also. Again, if you're overstaffed, your effectiveness becomes less. You're not able to be more efficient at the same time. If you're understaffed, maybe the output you're not able to provide as the desired output. So you need to make sure to do a need analysis before the staffing as well. Directing, it entitles delegating structured and decision-making instructions and orders to accomplish a particular task or the change. Coordination, it refers to coordinating and with various departments, using mechanism of work with the interdepartments and within the management, whoever is bringing in a change. Reporting contains updating the manager or the superior about your work, about the improvements that have been taken, or if there are any challenges you're facing. The information when you're reporting could be through records or inspections. The last one is budgeting. So budgeting compromises of with all the organization happenings, which includes like accounting, audit control, fiscal planning, and so on. So during the development, if you're bringing in a change, if you're bringing in development or growth within your organization, then it is important to have this method of planning. First, plan, organize, staff, direct, coordinate, report, and budget. Budget is also very important because that will show if you're being effective, if your organization is able to sustain on its own, or is it or you have to depend on other organizations for run your organization on your own. The next one is time management and change management. So when you're bringing in a change, it is important to manage the time as well. So when you're during the change process, the Levins process, you have studied about unfreezing, then the change process and refreezing and all that. You cannot have a whole year or 2 years or 3 years for the organization to adapt to the change, or for you to freeze the particular change. So it is important to manage the time as well. A systematic strategy to cope with the transition of an organization goal, process, technology is known as the change management. So the goal of the change management is to put in place the techniques for bringing about change, how to control the change, and also assisting employees in adapting to the change that is happening and sustaining the change that is occurring. So it is change management on the whole is a procedure, is organized procedure for requesting a change, as well as systems who are responding and following up the request. Then time management, again, it is very important when you bring in change, because if your employees are not able to meet the changing environment, or are not able to meet the demands of the change, or are resisting the change, then it will affect the employees' productivity and also the success of the company or the business. So you might not want to consider the role in the process of change. So it is very much important to manage the time of the change process, and this will help you understand whether the change you're bringing in will help your organization to succeed, or help your organization or the effectiveness of your organization to deteriorate. So it is very important for change to be done. So proper time must be given at the beginning of the research for the right change model to take place, and to anticipate and plan for any problems. To ensure that your change model is successfully executed, proper and properly planned change time management is at most required. You need to have you need to keep aside enough time at the beginning of the research of the project, so that you would understand what model to select, and you would be understanding what model will work best. So during the time period, so you can initially, when you're bringing in a change, you can say, let's give it a 3 months time, let's see. If it is not working out, then we can move on to the next model. So time management is very important. Now if you say, let's implement this particular model for like 6 months or 8 months, and then see if it is working or not, and then bring in a new model, then again you're wasting a lot of time, and it will definitely affect the organization effectiveness. Now, enough time to understand and accept the change. You need to give your employees enough time to understand and accept the changes that are coming their way. Employees are most valuable in the organization, and they can resist the change that was coming. So if you need to speed up the change process, keep your employees informed priorly about the change, communicate to the employee about the change, help them understand why change is required, what will happen once this changes come in, how will the employees be benefited, how will the organization be benefited, if the organization is benefited, how in turn the employees will be benefited. Time to train employees and allow them to adjust to new processes. So you must give enough time for the employees to be trained and help, and employees must be given adequate time for them to adjust to the new processes. It could be in terms of new learning experience, new customer methods, new training, or on trainings could be related to how to use a new technology which you have taken, a new software tool. It could be equipments, change in the business, whatever it is. Give enough time for your employees to understand the process, to adapt to the process, and to perform the process. So you can't just bring in a new technology, and you can't just give your employee like 2 day or 3 day training and expect them to perform well in the next month itself. You need to give them a minimum of 3 months time, and that will again help them to adapt and adjust to the management. So probably that is one of the reasons why the probation period sometimes lie between 3 months to 6 months, because every employee is coming in from a different organization. Now this is just an example I'm sharing, and every employee may be coming from a different organization which has a different culture. So as soon as they come into the organization, when the culture is different, it will take time for them to adapt. So during the probation period, the organization and the employee will get to know if they are able to adapt themselves to the organization culture or not. If they are not able to adapt to the organization, then they will leave the organization. If they are able to adapt, they will continue with the organization, because there is a change that has happened. So this was a very simple example for you to understand how change affects. So similarly, in an organization, if you are bringing in a change and if you are expecting effectiveness or growth in the organization, then you need to give your employees time to adapt to that particular change you are bringing in. So I have spoken about chain of command previously. So I thought I will also give you the structure about the chain of command. So chain of command is a line of authority that extends from the upper level of the organization to the lower level of the organization. It gives you a hierarchy in terms of the reporting managers, who would be reporting to whom. So the chain of command involves three concepts: authority, responsibility, and unity of command. So if you are looking at authority, authority refers to rights inherent in a managerial position to tell people what to do and what to expect them to do. So in an organization, where there is a chain of command, the authoritative figure will instruct the employees who are reporting to them on the work they have to do, and the reporting workers or the employees should report to the manager on the work, on the progress what they are doing. Then responsibility is the second thing. So the obligation or expectation to perform any assigned duties. So every employee has been given their own responsibilities irrespective of the chain of command. So me being a manager, if I'm giving one of my employees certain work task, it is their responsibility to look into the work. It is their responsibility to perform the duty correctly, and it is their responsibility to come and report to me as a reporting manager, so that there is because I am the authoritative figure over there, and it is their responsibility to come and tell me like how the work is going or is in progress, irrespective whether I am asking them or not asking them. Then unity of command, it is a concept where there's one boss and that person should report to only that one boss. So the unity of command, without the unity of command, there could be conflicting demands and priorities from multiple bosses and can create problems. So they could, so in under the chain of command, if you are looking, the three concepts include authority, responsibility, and unity of command. Now, moving on to the next approach or the theory, the systems theory or the systems approach model. So, the systems approach is a management perspective that views any company's challenge as a system as a whole, and it is made up of a hierarchy of subsystem. So, system is nothing but an organization as a whole. So systems theory talks about, like, irrespective the according to the systems theory, you are looking at the system as a whole and not only the different subsystems. So for example, rather than looking at a problem in like different pieces, it should be viewed as a whole particular problem. So all businesses domains like administration, insurance, banking can benefit from a systems approach, because you are looking at the whole system and not only concentrating only on the insurance or banking or administration or finance or HR and so on. So despite the fact that it specifies the system as a whole, it focuses on the subsystem and the components as well as the role in the overall system. For example, if a firm is a system that may be having different subsystems like marketing, finance, accounting, production, and so on, in the various subsystems should be studied in their interrelationships rather than isolation from each other. They need to understand how an organization, how a finance team and the marketing team are functioning together. Like rather than just studying how a finance team is functioning, how alone the marketing team is functioning, how they are interrelated and how they are functioning depending upon each other, that has to be studied, and that is the systems approach. Now, there's something called closed and open system. So, an organization will have a closed and open system. Closed systems are internal subunits of the organization that do not interact with the external environment. Open systems are those subunits which interact with the other systems or the other subunits that are outside the organization. In effect, all organizations are open system actually. Now, then there is something called general and the specific management system. So the general system approach to management is mainly concerned with formal organizations and the concepts that are relating to techniques of sociology, psychology, and philosophy. And the specific management system include analysis of the organization structure, planning, job design, control mechanism, information, and so on. So general system deals with the general concept, whereas specific system, as the name suggests, specifically looks into a certain concepts. Now here it is one of the example of the systems approach which I've put here. So an organization is unable to retain employees in the sales department. So there are two approaches to solve this particular thing. First, they can look at it from the sales department as only sales is the issue, and that is why they are not able to perform better. They don't have the skill set or whatever it is. The other approach to look at through the systems approach is to look at the overall picture. Why is the sales department not able to perform well? So is it due to the poor variable pay and low product quality? Is that the reason why the sales is not happening? Is it because of the HR subsystem and the R&D subsystem which are not pertaining to the sales, because the HR has not hired a proper candidate for as a sales executive? Or is there research not done properly on which area the sales is being done. So if you are taking a product to sale and selling it in an or targeting an area where this product is not required at all, then who would buy your product? Nobody. So the sales are down. The marketing, again, are they marketing it correctly? Is the marketing strategy right, or is it wrong? Why is the sales not happening? Through the systems approach, you can look into each of these departments to understand it better, to resolve it. Now, the last one is contingency theory. So the contingency approach to management holds that management technique should be dependent upon the circumstances. So contingency theory is also called as situation based. We have already studied this in one of our leadership when we were doing the leadership thing. So the main agenda or the principle behind the contingency approach is that management effectiveness is contingent or dependent on the interaction between the management action and specific events. So to put it in a simpler way, it means that your management style should be able, your management should be able to adapt to the style based on the situation. So it is not like one solution is given and it is applicable for all the situation. Every situation is different and your management should adapt the style according to all the situations. So the foundation of this contingency theory has its features from the systems theory. So the organization is made of interconnected subsystems, and internal and external environmental factors influence the individual subsystems. It's not like just one one subsystem is affected by only the internal factors or external factors. Be it like internal or external, anything could affect the affect the subsystems. And so based on the situation, the management should adapt the solution. So one example is relationship between the subsystems and the external systems. To when there is a proposed desired unit which is working on one thing, then the internal or the external environment might have affected the system. Like we were talking about the sales. So the sales, it's a subsystem where the external environment has affected the sales. It could be like like all the subsystems are performing correctly, but only the same sales subsystem is not able to perform because of the external environment. What is the external environment here? It could be like now we have like raise in the prices of fuel, and with lot of commodities prices being increased, people are not willing to buy certain things whatever you are selling. Hence your sales are affected because of the high prices or whatever it is. Again, sales are affected. So it could be the external factors. Now during COVID, the entire economy went down, right? So this is an external factor that has affected the subsystem, which is sales. So contingency theory proposes organization structural changes or designs, leadership styles, control mechanism that enable to respond to the environmental situations or contingencies. So according to contingency theory, the management or for organization to be effective, they need to make sure that there are different solutions based on the different situations. They cannot just adapt to one solution for a problem and apply to all the 10 problems that arise. So this was about contingency theory, and with this I'm completing unit 24. I had gone through the PDF of unit 23. There was again Levin's change model, which we had already done during the change process, the unfreezing, refreezing process, and quarters also I had completed. So I'm not touching those in this particular class.
Any questions, doubts? Okay, I take it as a no. In the chat, I will be attaching the PowerPoint presentations, and also I am going to give you some links of the books, Robbins PDF. You have the Organization Behavior by Stephen Robbins. There are some book PDF which you could download it. It's for free, so you can download it directly from the internet. Just a question. I'm not too good with this, I think. Now all those are in my downloads folder and I'm unable to see it. Can somebody just help me out?
Did you click on the document icon in the chat?
Yeah, I am, but it's not showing me the download folder. All right. Well, okay, let's send it one at a time, I guess. Just let me know if you're able to open them.
Not yet. I mean, I don't see any documents.
You don't see? Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. It's going to Jagdish. Okay, 1 second. I'll reshare it.
Please select in the to everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, now I can see OD and OE document.
I've not named a few of the things.
Yeah, there are about 3 PPTs that are uploaded. 4th one is, yeah.
Okay, so I've sent 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've sent 5 PPTs.
Yeah,
ma'am,
received 5.
I cannot see any link in my chat box.
Link I'm sending, just a minute.
Yeah, that's what we are not able.
1 second, just give me 1 second.
I think people who are attending from the phone won't be able to see these documents. I'm not sure though, but I think that is the case.
What's in your link, sir? Download it. Yeah, received one link.
Yeah, just sending it. There are 3 links I'll be sending. Okay. So in the beginning of the class, Jagdish had asked me if I would like to share my number for any doubts or clarification. I will share it. Please don't spread it across, and you can reach out to me. Most of the time when I'm at work, I generally don't use those phones. So you can just drop in a WhatsApp message. I will get back to you. So that's my number.
What is the best time to actually reach out to you?
There's no best time. I'm like constantly working. So, you know, you can just drop a message in case if I don't answer the call.
Yeah, even for the messaging, is there
Message
any...
anytime is fine. WhatsApp message anytime is fine. I'll get back to you.
All right, thank you.
Because I get like a lot of those advertisement calls and fraud calls, so spam calls. So I just don't answer unknown numbers also. So. Right. So all the best for your exams, and you can reach out to me any point of time for any doubts. You can go through the textbooks also. They're very, very helpful. You're welcome.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, so I'll end the class early today. I think you can have that half an hour break for yourself. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.